Showtime, fools.
What's up, game boys and girls? Big T here, back with another video. And this video is going to be kind of ranty, kind of a rant. I've done similar videos before, but I want to kind of elaborate more on this one because of recent events like the Activision Blizzard King acquisition that Microsoft is trying to put through. So there's some stuff that relates to the topic. So I'm just going to start off with Lulu. Shout outs to Lulu. Lulu has got fanboys going crazy. Sony fanboys. So basically, Lulu is the CCO, I believe, of Activision Blizzard. She's a communications director, something like that. And she's been, saying things on Twitter that have gotten fanboys upset. Basically, saying what's going on as far as what the deal is entailing and how they really want it and how it's going to help their company in many ways and things like that. And she recently let it be known that Sony has no inclination of trying to make a deal with Call of Duty. She basically ousted Jim Ryan for saying, I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I want to block your merger. And that's what she quoted him as saying. And so this video is about journalism, specifically gaming journalism, and how it's failed you. A response to that is, I believe it was Polygon. I can't remember the writer right now of the article, basically saying she shouldn't have said that, letting something be known that was, a gentleman's agreement to not disclose such things. And are you, whoever this guy is, I can't remember his name, are you privy to this gentleman's agreement, or did you just make that up and pull that out of your ass? Because it's condescending sounding, it's a little bit sexist. Gentleman's agreement. Lulu obviously is a woman. But to say that there's some gentleman's agreement, well, would you, as a journalist, let us know what that gentleman's agreement is? Let us know in the context of your article, because you talk as if you have some kind of information on some gentleman's agreement. What exactly is that agreement? So there's really, really bad journalism, and a lot of it's based on bias. And there's also journalism that's just based on like corporate necessity, need to have access to companies. So let me just quickly go over that. You have a right as a journalist or as a media outlet to have an opinion. But there are rules when it comes to journalism. Let me give you some quick background on me. I started off as a journalism major in college. I wanted to go that route. I wanted to be a journalist out there, finding the stories and seeking the truth. There is there's code to that. There's ethics involved with that. I was the managing editor for my college's journalism magazine, The Triad, and the arts magazine, The Galleria. My cohort, my partner at the school magazine, her name was Carrie. Shout out to Carrie. She was great. We had a great partnership. She mostly covered the journalism stuff, although I did do a lot of articles and whatnot for the journalism magazine, The Triad. But the arts magazine was my baby specifically. But I did do journalism, obviously. And I understand how that works. You can write opinion pieces, but you have to title them as opinion, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the problem today, and it's not just with journalists, I just think of people in general, they think that they can create facts out of their opinion. When people say, oh, you're attacking me for my opinion, I mean, these are all specific cases, whatever. But I bet most of the time, their opinion involves them creating facts. Now, you can say as an opinion journalist, if you're making an opinion, you can say that, oh, I think that this game is not very good, right? That's an opinion. But what you can't say is, if it's not a fact, you can't say this game is not good for anyone. it has major issues that maybe it doesn't have, and say that's your opinion. No, that's not your opinion. You're creating a fact and making an opinion based on that fact. So you can't create facts, right? There's only the fact and the opinion, and little things in between. But you can't create your own facts. So it was, it's pretty bad because she's called out other people and they've rebutted. They've apologized for bad journalism, basically saying they were sorry, and she's been pretty nice about it. She's like, well, I can help you if you need some help. Contact me before you make these statements, and so forth, so on and so forth. Pretty fair. I wouldn't be as fair, but she's been pretty fair about it. But the problem is there's a bias in a lot of these media outlets, a bias towards Sony. Why isn't the issue that he said what he said? The issue for this, I think it was Polygon. The issue for Polygon was that she, quote unquote, broke some gentleman's agreement. They won't tell us what this agreement is. They made it up. But the problem isn't that the problem is she broke the agreement, not the fact that he said he didn't want to deal. He just wanted to block the merger. That is the story. That is the story. Not some archaic, arbitrary belief that there's some corporate, gentleman's agreement. Like, I don't understand that. It's insane. Because the story is the fact that he said he didn't want to deal. That's the story. Sony doesn't want to deal. They want to block the merger. They don't care. But journalism just outright has not served gamers well. Because most of the time, these guys only care about access. These media corporations, they care mostly about access, especially in gaming. They want to, and in just journalism, period. When we come to politics as well, they want access to these politicians, and if they say something that makes them upset, they know they won't get that access. So they softball interview them, or don't do their job, their due diligence. Why is it that Jason Schreier, because he's hated a lot, but it's because he does hard hitting questions. He gets out the juice. He gets in and gets the nitty gritty. And that rubs people the wrong way. It annoys them. Nobody complains about, certain, nobody complains, at least the industry wise, these people don't complain, about, these companies doing, or, these journalists attacking them or whatever, right? Guys like Jason Schreier get a lot of hate because he does his goddamn job. He doesn't really take sides, I don't think. At least I don't really see it. And he asks hard-hitting questions, or he gets in and gets the dirt. And a lot of people don't like that. So a lot of companies, a lot of media corporations are afraid to piss off these gaming companies. And when their job is supposed to be advocating for you. Imagine if, I can't think of, it's one of the Boston papers that uncovered basically the crimes of the Catholic Church. I won't go into it any further than that, but there was a big uproar, a big eye-opening, investigation that uncovered all this misconduct with, certain priests and certain parishioners, right? I'll just say that. Imagine if these media guys, these journalists were, just were overly worried about the Catholic Church's reaction, or overly worried about these priests' reaction. That would have never been uncovered, right? Because they were too focused on protecting certain groups. And that's what's wrong with video gaming media as well. They're too worried about protecting these gaming corporations, these gaming companies, and not giving you the facts and not looking out for you. That's what they're supposed to be doing, advocating for the public, looking out for the public. Too many times, these gaming media journalists are too worried about having access. Too many times they are basically a marketing arm of these gaming companies. You'll see their podcast, and then they'll be advertising for a game or something in the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll click on their videos, and you'll get ads for certain games from certain companies. You see it all the time, and that's a problem because it's a partnership between them two when there should be distance between them, so we can get the real of the real. And a lot of times they engage in these console wars. They engage in favoritism of these companies. They engage in console wars because it gets them clicks. It is what drives audiences to their content. They are overly invested, and like I said, they're too involved, overly invested in the console war because that's how they get clicks. Nobody watches their stuff unless it's console war stuff or something like that, or if they get exclusive access. They love that exclusive access. All week we have inside blah 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 of this game and that game. They get that when they're nice with these companies. Okay, they don't get that if they upset the companies. Now, a lot of these companies also have their own outlets now. Because they want to, they want to put rose tinted glasses over everything they do, and they don't want any kind of opinion going into when they present their products, right? So they have their directs and all this stuff, so they can give you a company approved focus on their content, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's what they should be doing, not what journalists and media corporations should be doing. They should not be doing that for these companies. There should be no partnerships of mutual benefit, because then what they're telling you is corrupted. It's not always malicious. It's not a malicious thing, but when somebody sends you something, gives you something for free, specifically, you are probably going to be less harsh on your critique of it, and that's just human nature. That's not malicious. That's not, obviously some people take it to the extreme and basically give BS reviews of stuff because they want free things and they want to get that ad revenue, but I don't think that's what everybody does on purpose. I think it's just human nature to be a little nicer when somebody's doing something nice for you, right? So I get it. So YouTubers are not, immune to this stuff either. It's just, but to me, that's more acceptable than a gaming media website, or any kind of media website. But obviously, we're talking about video games here. It's a little bit more acceptable than some individual guy who wants to get a come up. Will do something like that, and instead of a company who, again, or an outlet of journalism whose job it is to, instill the public trust and look out for the consumer. That is literally their job. They're supposed to review things and say, hey, this is an up and up. Hey, this company isn't doing this right. They're doing these horrible things behind the scene, instead of, placating to them. And that is a major problem in media everywhere, and also obviously in our hobby of video gaming. So they're just not to be trusted. They do, again, these fanboy, flame war, console war stuff, because that's what gets them views. And when they're motivated by that stuff, you have to take what they say at face value with a grain of salt. You can't just wholeheartedly believe what they say. I feel like it's gotten really worse. And there has been, proof. There's been instances of of companies paying for basically for better media, better coverage, and that happens. And I know that some of these guys get really annoyed about it. Oh, I can't wait to get my Sony check or my Nintendo check, or but it happens. It does happen, and it doesn't always happen with a check. It happens in other ways. It happens with access, and it happens with partnerships, and they know this, and it's really annoying me. It really pisses me off when they play dumb and play innocent, and like this stuff doesn't happen, because it does happen. So I would just tell you guys to be wary, and it's just sad because these guys are supposed to be advocates for the public. They're supposed to look out for us, and not be an advertising wing of these companies, an advertising arm to these companies. These partnerships are a little bit too buddy and too close. And when you get in with somebody, you're a little bit nicer to them. If you see somebody, you're watching some kind of crime show, and somebody, hurts somebody in some way, it makes you angry, right? It makes you, oh, they got to throw the book at that person. But if that person is your cousin or your brother or somebody, then you might feel a little different way. Some will say, oh, no, I'll feel exactly the same way. No, you won't, because you have an emotional attachment to that person. It's a little different, and that's the problem. These media outlets have emotional attachments many times, because some of these journalists are very fanboyish, but they also have monetary attachments to these companies, so they can't give you the up and up. When people are so surprised when a game comes out that has been covered in some way by companies, when the game comes out and is nowhere near what you thought it was going to be, right? How many times does that happen where, some coverage of this game is great, or it gets 1,000 awards at E3 or something like that, and it comes out and it's trash? How many times does that happen? That happens a lot. And that's because the guys who are supposed to be looking out for us as gamers, consumers, are not doing so. They're more looking out for their bottom line. I get it. I understand why they do it, but it's just unethical. And that is a big part of journalism, is being ethical and having you got to be ethical, and you got to have that's the way to your credibility. If unethical, if you don't do things properly like you're supposed to, then that's what happens. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think you agree with what I'm saying here about gaming journalism? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.